all right, you know, like, hey, all right, hey. I'm always, yeah, like this, you sure this is going to work?
I'm sure.
So yeah, so the song, Mother, Please Don't Be Sad. I don't know if you can tell from just exactly what's in the song, but there's a story. Some people know the story, and some people, know that when I think I was 17 or 18 years old. You know, I can't quite remember because there's just nothing. There's no story to go to check what the date would have been. But this is based on the night that I was. I worked at this Long John Silver's in Oklahoma City. I think for 11 years. I started there in 1977 when I was just 16 years old. So the first couple of years, you know, I don't know if I think it's the greatest job ever, but I really am enjoying it, and I really love all the people that I'm working with. And it's just full of glee and joy, and we're having fun. And one night, we're just moments away from closing the door, and two guys, run in and burst in through the door that's by the bathrooms and the cash register, and run right into the back of the restaurant there, and just start yelling at everybody to get on the floor, you know. And they've got these giant guns, and they're absolutely pissed off out of their minds. And you get the feeling they've probably done it before, and they know how just to intimidate the fuck out of somebody, and just, you know. And I had really considered, before this happened, I thought, oh, you know, if we get robbed, I'll just roll with the punches, and, you know, we'll joke about it or whatever. But it's not like that in real life. I was completely paralyzed, shocked. And when I laid on the floor, I was convinced, and it seemed perfectly plausible that they would just shoot us. There had been, around Oklahoma City, there had been a series of restaurants getting robbed where the robbers would put them into the employees into the walk-in cooler and shoot them through the head, you know. And this was in our minds anyway. You know, anytime that would happen and you're working at a restaurant, these things are always in your mind. And, you know, we'd seen it on the news, and you'd read about it in the newspaper, and we'd talked about it. And here it was, absolutely happening to me. And I'd never had that type of experience before. I was only 17 or 18 years old, like I said. And laying on the floor, my heart pounding through my chest, I don't know why, your blood is like so hot, just flying through you, so much adrenaline. And really sort of accepting that I was about to die. And I remember looking at, I was laying on the floor, and the bottom shelf had, there was a thing there that held the just washed fish knives. And I thought I should grab that and attack these guys before they shoot me. I mean, these are all flying through your mind at, 1,000 miles an hour. And I also knew I was going to go to my mother's house. I'd stop there I'd be riding my bike on the way home. I would stop at my mother's house, and I would drop off my uniform, and she would, she'd clean it, and I'd pick it up in the next couple of days when I was going to work again. And I was thinking, I'm not going to show up at my mother's house, and she's going to start to worry, like, well, where's Wayne at, And then I fast forward in my mind to thinking, this is what you see in movies or whatever, that the police are going to go to my mother's house, and they're going to have to tell her that there's been a robbery, and your son Wayne he's dead. I mean, that's just the part of the story that you never consider is going to have you in it. And I remember laying there accepting this and just being like, this is really how I'm going to die. This is really, and it just did not, you know, it didn't seem wrong. It didn't seem unfair. It just was like, this is, and that's something about the way the adrenaline and the chaos of the whole thing. It just, you know, it just seemed like, yeah, this is really how you die. This isn't like a movie or a story or any of that, you know. And though it was probably only about 20 or 30 seconds or whatever, the robbers had the assistant manager screaming at her to open the safe. And I couldn't remember if she did or not. I mean, apparently she did, because they got away. It wasn't even very much money. It was probably only, you know, $1,200, something like that. But we're all laying on the floor, and you can't really tell what's going on. You don't dare move or anything. And before we knew it, it seemed like they had left. And you know, you somehow you think, well, is this still going on, or is this over, or whatever? And we all eventually, you know, sort of looked up and like, hey, you know, they've left and we're not dead. And it was like the greatest moment. I mean, I didn't have very much life then. I was only 17 or 18 years old, but it was the greatest moment of realizing what it really was like to be alive. It's just the most amazing thing. I mean, we were laughing and we were crying, and we just couldn't describe to each other how wonderful it was. You know, just 5 minutes ago, it was just a normal night. And then, you know, a couple minutes later, we've just been utterly transformed. And so the song is about that bizarre moment where I'm thinking about my mother and the things that I wish I could say to her. And I've thought about these things a million times, and it always seemed like it would be a song, or it's already in Songs of the Flaming Lips. But we never really addressed it. And now I kind of feel like this album, the American Head album, we were telling these types of stories, and I think the way that the music was kind of, you know, allowing us to say things. Steve and I put together this, at long last, this account of this stream of conscious panic, me from the dead, speaking to my mother type of song. So yeah, it's absolutely true story, but I think the music and all that makes it so wonderful to listen to. But it wasn't wonderful to be there, but it was absolutely, you know, I don't like to say it like this, but it's probably the greatest thing that could have happened to me, because I didn't know what being alive really was. And for a little while after this experience, I probably came across to people that met me as like a superhero that just didn't have any worries and could just do anything he wanted, you know, because there was a sense of all the petty, ridiculous insecurities that you have when you're 17 or 18 years old. I know I had plenty. For a little while, they just didn't matter. And I had a glimpse into what was really important. And I don't know, I think at the time when you're 17 or 18 years old, you just don't know, is this going to happen to me 20 more times, or does this happen to everybody, you know, 20 times? I don't really know. I mean, I was so young, I'd never really considered it, but now that I'm older, it never happens to anybody. And a lot of people that it happens to don't live to tell the story. But so it's an extraordinary, life-changing moment for me. And so I feel like, man, finally having a song where I'm speaking to my mother, and my mother's been dead for a little while now, so it really does relieve her of any sort of embarrassment to have a song written about her, which she wouldn't have been that comfortable with, though I think she would have loved it.
Mother, please don't be sad.